person to do this.
Hey everybody, welcome to PVD Horror. I'm Dave. I'm here with my co-host Brandon, and we are ringing in this Halloween season with an interview with what I think is going to be a yearly Halloween special that I plan to enjoy. We are here with the creators of the film HeBGB TV, and that is streaming currently on Screambox. And I am, of course, joined here with Adam, Eric, and Jake, the creators of the film. Guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having us. Happy to be here.
It's our pleasure.
Super pleasure.
If you like all things horror and want to get the best horror news, interviews, and reviews,
like, subscribe, and ring that bell to follow us and satisfy all your horror needs.
and for people just listening to the audio, I wish you could see this because they have a microphone and they are sharing it, so which is awesome. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
We're used to doing things in close proximity. Podcasts, pooping, you know.
Shit. So the film, just the name of it, HeBGB's TV. Where did you guys get the name from for this project?
I think that was Jake.
Yeah, we were just filming a lot of like commercials. We were doing a live show at the time and trying to come up with some like fun bumpers and some spoofy bumpers. And that's kind of when they came up with Frank's, and we shot that. And then we kind of just wanted like a theme to kind of encompass everything. So we just thought, I was just thinking like a spoof on like a Goosebumps with just a HeBGB TV to encompass kind of these commercials we were doing for our live show.
I have to ask, has anyone, or how many times have you heard people not get that it says HeBGB?
It's meant to be a little confusing and difficult and hard to say.
Just like us.
Yeah. It's really heavy-handed. We know it's intentional.
Any ways that like really stuck as like funny the way they pronounced it, or for the most part people getting it?
No, it's usually just like HGTV, HB. It's like HBO. No, it's just HeBGB. But you know, it's like trying to make it. I mean, it's a long name if you spell it all out. So then trying to condense that to make something like eye-catching, then also kind of like ties into the KTLA or WGAL, whatever.
It's super creative
call signs,
play on it. So yeah, I definitely appreciated that.
And cool. We're just a bunch of dudes, so it's our pronouns. He.
There you go. So now the film won the Joe Bob Briggs 2022 Hubby Award at the Jamboree last year. Did you guys end up going down to that event?
Not that one. No, we went to the first drive-in jamboree that was held at the Mahoning Drive-In, which is right here in Pennsylvania. It's only like an hour and a half from us. We submitted a short film to that one, and it rained all weekend. It was a muddy mess. But it was really cool because we got to show one of our short films among shorts from a bunch of different people from all over the place, and we got to meet Joe Bob and Darcy, and that was kind of like
to corner them in the projection booth.
Yeah, we followed them into the projection booth. Like, hi guys, how you doing? But no, that was kind of like that was like our foot in the door almost with that kind of seeing the last drive-in crowd or whatever, and I guess that's kind of what led us to getting the feature in to last year's jamboree. But I think we just couldn't make it because what was it, Nashville or something? Yeah,
we were headed to California the next week.
That's we had our world premiere in LA like pretty soon before, so I was just
what's your go-to as filmmakers when you meet somebody that you admire like Joe Bob or whatever, what's the go-to phrase to let them know that you're a filmmaker, so that they maybe would be like, hey, let me check out your work?
We're not worthy. We're not worthy. No, I think actually we were messaging Darcy the Merrill girl, Diana Prince from the from our lawn chairs while the films were playing, and we asked if we could come give them some stickers and some gifts and just say what's up, and they were gracious enough to break off a couple minutes of their time and say hello. So that was cool.
Yeah, like we're obnoxious enough as a unit, I think, and just kind of like in our own little world. I don't know if we let celebrity kind of get in our way of talking to people. We just kind of like, hey, do you want to?
We'll be annoying no matter who you are.
It's like, hey, do you want a sticker? Yeah, it was just shoot shot, I guess.
Yeah, they were very cool. And they were gracious enough to mail us our Golden Hubcap Award since we couldn't make it in person. So I have that hanging in my tattoo shop right now. I spit shine it every time it gets dusty. So we love the Golden Hubby.
Awesome.
There you go. Now, there's three of you guys, working on this project. Like what are some films that you guys grew up on that you love? Like, what are some of your favorite films, for horror films?
I was big into the television, so I know this is not a film, but kind of Goosebumps and early 90s Nickelodeon, Are You Afraid of the Dark was probably my biggest gateway into getting me into horror movies. I wasn't allowed to watch them until I got to be a teenager. So then once I was allowed to foray from television into film, I rented every single shitty movie that I could. Do you have a favorite one growing up in particular?
I mean, favorite one growing up, Ernest Scared Stupid, which we just saw at the drive-in not too long ago on 35 millimeter. That wasn't like my first one, but it was one that I saw on the shelves at the video store. Loved the cover of Ernest just like popping out of the jack-o'-lantern or whatever. And it was just, I don't know, something about that movie, even still, just like the charm of it. It just feels like Halloween. It feels like being a kid at Halloween. It kind of hits that, checks all the boxes of like just that the magic of the time of the season for me, unlike any other movie. So yeah, Ernest Scared Stupid growing up was probably my top. Pumpkinhead was a big love of me too. Just something about that movie just scared me so much, and I just was always obsessed with the creature design. I just thought it was so spooky. It was one of those that like I loved it, but I was scared to watch it. So probably those two from a very young age were like my top ones.
Okay.
Gotta keep away from Pumpkinhead.
Absolutely. I would say I was a Burton kid. I love Burton films, Edward Scissorhands. But again, I go back to TV stuff. Like I feel like a lot of my inspiration, and I mean, for me, like making a movie about TV was because they were pretty interchangeable. I was watching movies at home and watching TV at home on the same TV. So, but yeah, like Bone Chillers too. That's one of my favorites. Like, inspirations from just TV of the era.
So I mean, HeBGB definitely like encapsulates everything that you guys connect to with horror. It sounds like, so like that, everything you just said was like, holy shit, that you guys intertwined all of that into the film you guys created together. So that's awesome.
Heavy-handed references, throughout.
Yeah.
Now, you guys also were at the VHS Fest 7 in the summer. What was that event like? Because like me and Dave, we always talk about, wanting to go down and check it out. So what was that experience like for you guys to be vendors at that event?
We had gone as guests the previous few years and always loved it. And that's like, it's like the mecca for physical media collectors. It's a really cool group of people, both the makers and the people that are vending, tapes that they've been collecting for years and years. Josh that sets it up is really cool. The snack bar is untouched by time. So the Mahoning Drive-In itself is just a really cool venue to strangely enough, buy tapes and then watch tapes on a big screen the evening after. So
yeah, I mean, the Mahoning has, since we've been working on this movie, that's kind of become our home away from home for like the summer and fall months. We're just up there all the time, like checking out the events. I mean, the programming they do up there is just awesome. There's a lot of, they love like local makers. They love small time filmmakers. They love indie cinema up there. So they're just so good to the community here. And, they've been good to us over the years too. And VHS Fest is just, it's a weekend long party of a bunch of, sweaty nerds talking with sweaty nerds about movies and tapes and stuff, and like seeing like merch and memorabilia from forever ago that you didn't even know existed, and just like, I don't know, it's like trick-or-treating before October. It's kind of just that next step of feeling like a kid again, just looking at toys.
Sounds like it smells great. Probably.
Little BO with the fryer oil in the air. It's
like, who's eating Italian grinders so much? So, you guys made a reference to like, you have a tattoo shop, and that just made me like think about this idea. And I think it's something that people often forget, that a lot of times, like, especially when you're starting out, you have day jobs, right? So I was just wondering if you guys would mind sharing, like, what does your normal outside of film days look like? Like, what do you guys do? If you're okay with sharing.
Oh yeah. I've been a tattooer professionally for 13 years and unprofessionally for a lot longer. So my days are usually filled with blood and gore, but of a different kind of of making art for people. I'm lucky to do a bunch of horror movie tattoos, and as of recently, I've even done characters from HeBGB TV on people who've liked them enough to want to wear them forever. So that's awesome. a really cool day job that gives me this freedom to moonlight as a filmmaker. Jake, what are you doing during the daytime, buddy boy?
I work at a tech startup. I'm an assistant director. I have a kind of a very straightforward job during the day, so it's completely opposite after hours when 6 o'clock.
That's awesome.
And me, I work in video production, so I've been working in the film industry, quote unquote, since I got out of college and started like freelancing. And then I was an animator for a company for a little bit, and then I was cinematographer and editor for that same company for a little bit, and then I started my own company, Patchtown Films, which is the whole reason why this movie was able to get made, because I had my own business that had a bunch of gear, and like I had, being self-employed, you can kind of make your own schedule, and so kind of all the pieces kind of lined up day job wise to make this possible. So
it's awesome. So we've alluded to HeBGB and kind of what it's about, but maybe I can just kind of ask you guys, can you do your best to try to describe to the listeners what HeBGB TV is about?
That's a good question. What's the best way to put it? Yeah.
By short attention spans, for short attention spans.
There you go.
By fans, for fans.
So HeBGB TV is a cable box, much like a DirecTV box for people that remember those kinds of things. And it was touched by the Halloween goo and got transformed into somewhat like Rick and Morty interdimensional cable kind of tech, and just pumps Halloween spooky twisted content that your brain has buried deep into your television screens and then wants to take over the world. Channel flipping adventure from hell.
Nicely done. I like that.
Good,
so I mean, this film is definitely in the vein of other Halloween specials. I keep hearing the references, but I wanted to ask you guys, were there any particular Halloween specials that inspired the style of this film, or that were like particularly important for you guys to kind of like channel into this creation?
It's not a Halloween special, but my favorite television special is Pee-wee's Christmas special with the musical numbers and the puppets integration. So it's not Halloween, but I still think it's my favorite holiday special, and I really look to that work of Paul Rubens a lot, and a huge inspiration.
Nice. Yeah.
Kind of going back to Nickelodeon again. All of their Nick or Treat broadcasts were awesome, where you could call in and virtually trick or treat through haunted neighborhoods. And I was such a Nickelodeon kid that was it for me.
I mean, for me, it wasn't, as far as inspiration goes, like I said, Rick and Morty was a big inspiration for me, just kind of like the freneticness of those episodes from season 1 and season 2. I just thought, I was just amazed by it. I'm like, this is amazing. Trying to think what else. I don't know if there's anything that like directly influenced the format for me. I mean, VHS, the whole VHS franchise has been, I mean, that was like kind of seeing the first VHS come out, I was like, this is everything I've wanted a movie to be. So I pulled a lot from those, and kind of like, as far as like the aesthetic and the look kind of goes.
Very cool.
Okay. Yeah, so we missed going down to Salem Horror Fest this past year, but we heard nothing but good things about this film at the screening. Did you guys end up going down to Salem to check out the event, or no?
We were unable to. We tried to make it work, but the beginning of this year for us was just like a little too crazy to make it happen. Unfortunately, we weren't able to make it out. But I guess Alex from Broke Heart Fan, Bloody Disgusting, he was there and was doing a whole lot of legwork for us. So that was cool.
Yeah, it's like you just said, Alex. Oh, sorry.
Some of the exposure we got from the Salem Horror Fest was really rad. Some of the write-ups were killer, and we'd love to get back up there again.
Yeah, so it was cool, like you just said, like Alex from Screambox, Bloody Disgusting, he was able to send this film over to us, and we were to check it out before it made its premiere on Friday the 13th on Screambox. It was cool, so being able to watch this film before you guys released it was like awesome. And then kind of like going back and looking at you guys having like all these like the deluxe bundles for everyone that's gonna like for releasing on like physical media. You had like the Blu-rays, the DVDs, and the art book and the pin sets. But the thing that stands out to me is the cable box, like for the special editions and stuff like that. Where did you guys get the idea to come up with that cable box as the big platform to kind of push this film a little bit more?
Yeah, I don't know. I really love the experience of Halloween. Like, I think if you're going to make a movie about Halloween, you also have to have the experience aspect of it, like trick
Mm-hmm.
or treating and or the act of dressing up. So I really like the idea of like the physical release, having that sort of immersiveness with it, and actually just getting the box and having you opening it up and experiencing the characters that are inside. I don't know. It felt like it just made sense. Like, it was just like, of course the box set needs to be the HeBGB box. Like, what else would it be?
It shows up to your door and gives you crappy content.
Yeah, exactly.
Fulfills the prophecy.
And shout out Justin from Scream Team Releasing. Like, I pitched that idea to him and he was like, absolutely, we'll do it, and saw it through. So yeah, that was our idea, and he allowed it to come to fruition, which is really fun. And it's the best way to really experience the movie, other than streaming it on Screambox, of course. It has like a art book in it, like you said, and it really just kind of gives a deep dive into like our story and just some fun merch around it too.
Very cool.
And it looks great on a shelf.
Yeah.
Shelf.
Yeah, because it's funny because like today's kids, they're all only going to know about like the Roku's and like the Apple TV. So kind of like just watching this film, like it was crazy because you guys even had like a segment inside the film where it shows like people lining up at the stores to get their hands on the box, and it kind of reminded me like back in the day of like the video game releases, like for like the PS2 and stuff back in the day, and then like how it was like selling out. So that was cool, like you guys definitely touched on like everything that we went through growing up as a kid.
I mean, dude, there's nothing better than like having something in your hand to look
Yeah.
at. I mean, my whole thing when I was growing up, I would analyze every CDs and like liner notes and stuff. I would read every word, look at every picture, and it's like I feel like there's so much more to like the packaging becomes a piece of the piece of art itself, and I think we really wanted to capture that and like have those little bits and bobs all over the place, things that like if you look close enough you'll see something funny or just something a little bit more. And honestly too, just like the concept of HeBGB being this like nostalgic TV, like advertising heavy thing, like everything about the TV during the 90s and early 2000s was just, it was merchandising and, just junk pretty much that people were pushing on you, And I think part of that is why that stuff sticks with us so much, that tangible connection really like ingrains it in your memory. And I think that's a big part of the nostalgia. So it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So I noticed that Andrew Bowser makes a cameo appearance in the film as Onyx the Fortuitous. He has his own film coming out soon. Have you guys worked with Andrew in the past on any other projects? Like, how did this connection come?
So I ended up working with him on something afterwards, but my business partner Casey, who co-owns Patchtown with me, we were just kind of throwing the idea around. Like he was going through on TikTok and stuff, and it's like, oh, dude, that that Onyx guy's so funny. It's like, oh man, it'd be really sick to have like someone like that in this movie, just to kind of like, someone like him felt like he fit in the universe, just someone that geeks out over this kind of stuff. So it was literally just like found his email. She emailed him and was like, hey, would you want to do like a little segment in this film? Here's here's what we got so far, blah, blah, blah. And I think it was because it was like mid-pandemic. It was probably like July or somewhere around there. I don't know if he was just like nobody was doing anything, so he was probably just like, why not? Yeah. And he's super cool. He's such a nice guy, and he wrote that whole like monologue that he did. He sent, and he's like, here's what I'm thinking. I'm like, dude, this is perfect. This is so Onyx and it's HeBGB. And I really wanted him to say HeBGB TV is pretty cool, and he did that, so it worked out really well. Yeah, it was great. And then after that, I was able to go work on a found footage film that he was doing in Pittsburgh that was in an operating funeral home called The Decedent. And I think he's still trying to find, I mean, he's probably busy with the Onyx stuff, but I think he was trying to find some funding to get that film wrapped up. So if people want to see that movie, The Decedent, it's on GoFundMe. Send the man some money. Let's get that movie finished, because I really want to see that done, because it was a lot of fun to make. It was grueling work, but it was fun. I think it's going to be really cool when it's done.
Awesome. So I wanted to just ask you guys a little bit about the music in the film. there was a few segments where I was like, holy shit, I could listen to this music all day,
Please
particularly
do.
the night snacker piece.
Cool.
Can you guys talk to us about the music, how you came up with it, who developed it and all that stuff?
The music was really a mixed bag. I think a lot of us carried the weight, and usually if we brought a segment to the board, we had a pretty firm vision of how we wanted it to sound. I wrote and composed the music for the Night Snacker with Eric, and was we used a vintage Yamaha. Was it DX7?
DX27S.
DX27X, which is what John Carpenter used for one of his films. So we sort of tried to channel our inner Carpenters. Eric composed the "Don't Touch That Dial," the mid-movie dance sequence.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, it was kind of just like whoever had the idea did the thing. It's like, oh, I have an idea for this, and we just kind of like ran with it. I mean, making a movie about TV, you got to have the music and the jingles, and it's got to be catchy, and everything's got to have some sort of music. And because we're dealing with different time periods, kind of like different aesthetics, it's like the music is very important to kind of set that vibe. So yeah, a lot of work went into the music. Like Adam said, he had a lot of the ideas for Night Snacker. I kind of came up with "Don't Touch That Dial." I don't even remember how that happened. I was just like messing around. I watched the Nightmare VHS board game tape, and at the very end of the tape, there's like a rap, like a super like corny 90s rap music video kind of thing with like people on dark rides and dancing skeletons and stuff. I'm like, we need this in this movie. And that just kind of like went from there. I'm like, oh, don't touch that dial. That'd be a cool thing. I found some cool samples, and then was just like messing around. But then, like the rest of it, like Blood Channel was something that just like I was working on like that segment and like what that was going to look like. And I just started, going in my head, just like Blood Channel. Like it's just like little stupid ADD things get stuck in your head, and then they just turn into a song pretty much.
We're a very song oriented group. A lot of times we communicate just by repeating the same song lyrics over and over to each other until we annoy the hell out of each other. Jake was a lyricist for the Candy Quartet music video and wrote the Scared song that the purple guy sang in the beginning. So Jake was more of the theatrical side of things.
Yeah.
Eric and I were the rock and roll and techno sides. And everybody did a lot of heavy lifting with the songwriting.
What was the theme that ends in it's the purple guy? What did they say right before that? There's like the line in the song.
Hey there, friends. Let's open up our eyes. It's time for a show by the purple guy.
Yeah. I was like, that is so simple, but I kept saying it in my head after I heard it. I was like, that's awesome. Are you guys going to are you guys thinking about like releasing the soundtrack on vinyl or anything like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have enough to work with that. We've been talking about doing a soundtrack release. So, now that the movie is out on all platforms, I think we'll try and get a release of the soundtrack out to everybody.
That'll be the next step. Yeah.
There's 3 singles out already though. Right now, you can listen to the theme song and "Don't Touch That Dial," and the Candy Quartet are out right now as singles. So you can catch those 3 songs
on Spotify and YouTube. Oh, Apple Music.
Yeah,
damn. Okay.
Nice.
We made it.
Yeah, I know you're friends with our songs.
So there was so many crazy segments in this film. I mean, it's like watching this. I watched the film like twice, and I still can't even like just. Every time I watch it, I'm like, okay, I like this a little bit more, and I find a different favorite one. And so, like, what are some of your favorite ones that you guys created that you guys just love so much that that you were happy that you were able to put to this film?
I love Frank vomiting up hot dogs and mustard. I had a blast puppeteering Rib Tickler with Jake. Our friend Mike Garland wrote the crude bone puns for him. So those 2 were some highlights for me as far as what I thought was the funniest.
Sure.
I have a soft spot for Blood Channel. That one, Blood Channel was a concept that Adam came up with, and I was like, dude, that's like the funniest thing. Just like flipping through the channel and you hit the wrong channel, and then all of a sudden blood's spilling out of your TV onto you.
Splash zone.
Yeah, dude, that's like that. I was just like, that's the coolest thing ever. So I love that segment. I love the tie-in at the end. Spoiler alert, but the tie-in at the end with our grumpy old man. It was just one of those things where it's like I saw it in my head and it kind of like came out exactly as I was envisioning it. So that's probably all-time favorite of the whole movie. But I mean, Frank is always going to be in my heart because that was the first thing we shot for the movie, was that first Frank's thing. And also like the newscaster, all the newscaster segments are awesome. That's another thing where it's just like a really big collaborative thing between the three of us, like getting those things going. And that was like one of my first forays into Blender, making the backgrounds for all the newscaster things. And it was just something where it's like, you could kind of, I could at least kind of see like how we were growing and learning as creators in those segments specifically. So yeah, those are those.
Yeah, 3/4 of the film we shot in my basement in front of a green screen, and then we let Eric figure that out. So good job, Eric.
Nice.
Do you have a favorite?
Favorite character,
or just basically like a favorite segment from the segment?
Yeah, I think the newscaster was the funnest to film because there was really low stakes and I just had to read off of a teleprompter and drink Trulies. It was like early COVID, so it was like, oh, it's whatever. Like we're just hanging out. It's be done in like a month or two, whatever.
That's pretty much what I'm doing anyway. So
yeah, like so, yeah, it'll be fun. We'll just film this. Didn't wear pants, just in my underwear. But like I would say on the opposite end, like having the final product, like I love seeing Purple Guy all together. I felt like it was like the competitiveness and like the oh, I did that. Like it was like I set a goal high and achieved it. So I think that's the funnest to enjoy because it's really complex and intricate in different ways. But filming the easiest and the funnest was probably the newscaster for sure because I didn't have to do much other than just sit there.
I think Dr. Knucklehead was probably the most fun to set up. Like I remember like us just in my basement. That was in my basement. It was all of our basements on this. But Dr. Knucklehead was in my basement and just decorating the area, like this weird little cinder block corner in there. That was a lot of fun, decorating the table and like having all sorts of trash and like, okay, we have this broken lamp and this colander. How can we hot glue and duct tape everything together to make it look like a mad scientist lab? And then we had like actual vegetable broth or chicken broth or something in the jug that went into the vintage blender and then actually like, set it off and had all sorts of smelly like chicken broth, oatmeal, whatever, all over the place. So that was a lot of fun. But
it got a little messy from time to time.
I can imagine.
Yeah, because when I had seen that segment, it just really just took me right back to like the creepy crawlers commercials when I was a kid. And like, how when you're sitting there like as a kid and you're watching like all the toys and it has like all the cool backgrounds and stuff, and then you're like, shit, I wish that I can like be in that world. You know what I mean? And you guys definitely created that, and it just felt like so real. So like how long did it take you guys to like film this project?
We shot this movie from 2020 to 2022 and a half. We finished what we thought was the final cut of the movie that actually turned out to be the quarantine cut that we premiered to a small crowd. They really liked what we had for them, and we decided it was worthwhile going back, reshooting stuff, building the world bigger, and kind of re-releasing the film then. And that ended up being about a year and a half later. And I think we were redoing some of the music right before the master was sent out to the DVDs to be pressed and distributed. So we cut it pretty close to the line of distro, but just about 2.5 years.
Yeah, we had some licensing issue with some stock music. We had written probably about like 65% of the music and everything up until December of this past year, where we had to go back and redo like 8 or 9 songs, I want to say, in like the span of 2 weeks. So that was an endeavor, but it ended up being like a lot easier than I expected it was going to be. And I'm way more happy with the way the music is now, that it's like all us and just like, yeah, it's hard to find stock music to fit the specific vibes that we were going for, so being able to go back and like making it perfect and 100% ours was a lot of fun.
We could add fart sounds in the background and all sorts of stuff like that. So we enjoyed it.
So there was a segment that you guys alluded to. I just want to also say, like, for people who haven't seen this film yet, they must be like, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
These dudes are on drugs.
The purple guy, candy corn quartet. What the fuck is this? But I actually want to ask you guys about the candy corn thing. Are you guys throwing shade at candy corn in there? I feel like there was shade being thrown. The kid.
We love candy corn.
I hate
Okay, good.
I
good.
okay, well,
You hate it.
We love all things that candy corn represent, the imagery, the nostalgia. They're like little traffic cones of joy. We're addressing the fact that candy corn are never chosen. They're live from the bottom of the bag. They're always those sticky pieces that are neglected.
Yeah.
Sticky pieces are the stars.
How dare you? How dare you leave your candy corn at the bottom of the bag? It's an injustice to leave them forgotten. We're standing up for candy that deserves. It's traditional. You gotta go to candy corn first and then do the Snickers after. You just got to.
Yeah. I love that segment because that's actually between Brandon and I. Like that's a debate we've been having forever. Where I'm like, I love candy corn and Brandon hates it, but I've like over the years just talked about it so much that he keeps trying it. We actually just had this conversation like last weekend, right? You're like, I don't know, I keep doing it, and like it's not happening.
I feel like my family and East Coasters in general have just a weird taste in candy. Like my family loves circus peanuts. I don't know if you know what those are.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I hate those.
So I feel like it falls into that category. You can either love or hate candy corn. And also here in Pennsylvania, we have a big feud over Sheetz and Wawa of that too. So I feel like it's just a culture thing of like, standing up for what you believe in when it comes to food and candy, whether it be waxy or what have you.
That Sheetz and Wawa thing just blew my mind because I'm like, I go back and forth all the time.
Wawa builds a superior sub, but the selection at Sheetz is much better. They got the walk-in soda cave.
Wawa has pizza and fried goods now.
Wawa has pizza. Yeah, Wawa.
I never leave a Wawa without at least 3 pretzels. I gotta say that. Like the pretzels are amazing.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I had a little credit card fraud happen on my account, and it was like, you bought something from Wawa. I'm like, I fucking live in Rhode Island. Like, how who did this? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, no.
I'm a 7-Eleven guy.
Yeah. I wanted to ask because obviously the candy corn reference brings back everything Halloween and tradition. What other Halloween traditions do you guys love or try to like honor every year?
I try and throw an elaborate party whenever I can. And actually, HeBGB TV was the byproduct of sort of a failed Halloween party. Okay. So for me, it's always just an excuse to make homemade decorations, try and gather all your friends together, try and be as creative as possible, and just party.
Awesome.
Yeah. For me, my Halloween traditions as of late are going to his Halloween parties, partying down, maybe getting a tattoo, eating some of Danzig's kitty litter, which is just chef's kiss. Love Danzig's kitty litter. It's what is it? Vanilla wafers.
It's crushed up vanilla wafers, and then I shape Tootsie Rolls to look like little cat turds.
It's awesome.
Okay.
You guys are invited to the Halloween party this year. It's October 29th.
Yep. But yeah, so aside from that, I try and carve a pumpkin at least. I need to watch Over the Garden Wall at least once, and I need to watch Halloween 3 on Halloween night. And those are like if I don't do those things, then I didn't have a good October.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
I go to my VHS tapes. I get my little Admiral VHS and one TV, and I put it in my studio, and I just go through mostly like children's Halloween specials, the McDonald's Scared Silly. Just watched the Rugrats one. Just watched Mary Kate and Ashley Double Trouble, Boil and Trouble, whatever.
Boil and Trouble.
That was good. Yeah, I go right to my VHS player.
That's awesome. I think you hear more and more of like adults going back to like the specials nowadays versus like just watching Halloween 1 through 5 on repeat. I even myself of like the last couple of years I found myself going back to like some of those classic specials and stuff like that. There's just a feeling of like home and I don't know, your childhood, if it was a good childhood, I guess, that you just kind of want to connect to. So that's awesome to hear that,
even if it wasn't the good parts.
Yeah. I mean, you invent your own then, and you just do that every year. So Pennsylvania in around Halloween, like obviously we're in New England, and this time of year everything is Halloween based, and we're super into it. What's Pennsylvania like around this time of the year?
Absolutely ghoulish.
Yeah.
But just like you guys, we have haunted hay rides aplenty. We've got some really great haunts around us. We've got the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. We've got the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville, where they show The Blob, where they'll do 24-hour horror fests by Exhumed Films, all-night Italian splatter fests. We're very lucky in the area of Pennsylvania that we are. There's a lot popping off. Philadelphia, there's the Philomoka.
I mean, dude, Eastern State Penitentiary. We just got
I was
like,
just
I
gonna
mean,
ask if you guys go there.
yeah, it's like I think East Coast, because it's so old. You know, everything over here is
Yeah.
so old. Like it's just. I mean, what's the Lambertville, New Jersey? Like we're close to Lambertville, New Jersey, which is like Halloween town. Like they have like a huge history of trick or treating and stuff there. It's just I don't know, for some reason, just this like corner of the United States, like this tri-state area up in New England. You know, it's just a lot of history, so a lot of spooky stuff. And I mean, Pennsylvania is kind of like the mecca for independent horror. I mean, we have George Romero coming out of Pittsburgh, and all the best zombie movies of all time made. Just a couple hours away from us. We got Maryland not too far south from us. We got all that stuff down there, and it's just we got Gettysburg like real close. Eastern State, Pennhurst. I mean, all this stuff. It's made for spooky season.
Our
And
guy
we're in,
Fred
like the middle of farm
Vogel,
country too.
Our guy Fred Vogel of Toe Tag is from Pennsylvania, I believe. So a lot of stuff comes out of there. I wanted to ask you guys, last time I went to Mahoning, which was a couple of years ago, I didn't even know this was there, but I drove by the Abaddon from Hell House, and it is an actual. Is it an actual haunt?
It is. I forget what it's called. Is it
the Waldorf Estate Hotel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Have you guys done it?
No, we haven't. We were just up the Mahoning for Kyoto Con. They were playing, the Kyoto brothers were there playing Killer Clowns and stuff all weekend. And we made a stop at the Abaddon and made a stop in the Country Junction, which is right next to the Abaddon, which is like a liminal space from another dimension. That place is weird. It's like an Ace Hardware and a candy counter and a general store, like farm goods and stuff, but there's Wizard of Oz animatronics and a weird arcade and like pizza parlor.
Inside of a plane hangar.
It's so weird. And it's like you don't walk through it like a store, you walk through it like an attraction, like there's arrows. Yeah, it's mental, man. It's nuts. I love it.
Yeah, if you guys get back to the Mahoning, check out the Waldorf Estate, but then directly next to it is Country Junction, and it is bizarre.
All right, good to know.
We love you, Country Junction.
It's bizarre in the best way.
Yes.
All right. Well, guys, tell our listeners everywhere they can find you, so that they can look you up and just keep on, following all your future projects.
I believe you can find us at HeBGB TV, HeBGBTV.com, at HeBGB TV on Twitter.
Spell it out.
HeGB.
No.
HeBGB TV. HeBGB TV. And that's where we are everywhere. TikTok, X, X Twitter.
Yeah,
we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, Apple Music. We're literally everywhere, and no one has a handle as insane as ours. So we're the same thing on everything.
Okay.
And then HeBGBTV.com. We're also ScreamTeamReleasing.com, where you can get us on Blu-ray, DVD, VHS. You can get us on VHS from LunchMeatVHS.com.
Scratch and sniff candy corn scented tape.
Yes, candy corn scented tape smells like autumn the second you open up the box. I think that's it. I think that's all the places we are. And now streaming on Screambox, of course.
Yes, of course.
Into the metaverse.
Ooh, the Cineverse.
The Cineverse.
We're not in the metaverse.
No. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. This was awesome, and we're like just really thrilled that we got to check this out and talk to you guys about it, because I mean, checking this out alone and not actually talking to someone about it, I think you go insane. So
yeah,
I'm glad to like hear your guys' takes on the segments and just everything that went into it. And we look forward to seeing more stuff from you guys. I think that this is like a great sign of things to come. So thank you for this.
Appreciate it.
Do you guys plan on making a sequel to this?
We're going to do something. We're going to do something for sure at some point. It just depends on the timing and the what and who's going to give us a big fat check.
There you go.
We got big dreams, big schemes. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it, guys.
No problem.
No problem. All right, everybody.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Check out HeBGB TV on Screambox now, and watch out for all the future endeavors of these guys. I feel like they're up to something big. So thanks for listening, and everyone have a good night.